I'm gonna you lost access to what? Hold on. Oh no. What's going on, guys? It's the RPO Podcast. We are here live again. Thank you guys all for checking in. We are live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and we're live on Twitter. So, guys, thank you all for being here. I'm your humble host, Jerome Jones. We got Ray Roberts here. What's going on, Ray?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. You know how it is. It's always good to speak to you, man.
I hear you.
Hey, I see you got a nice little cut going on too. I can't see you right now, but you know.
Yeah, I got my haircut actually 2 weeks ago this weekend.
Yeah, everything's opening up, so it's great that I got a haircut too, but it's already kind of getting crazy. So the hat stays on today. But I am super excited. We got some things opening up. Unfortunately, some things are acting crazy again, which is the bad thing, and we're all fearful for that. So please, everybody, if you're out there, make sure that you're staying healthy and safe right now. Keep your mask on. We're in Jersey, and it just passed a law that you have to have a mask on when you're outside. So please make sure you do that as much as possible, because we want to make sure we get our football back. Ray, before we start talking about our college football podcast, there have been a couple of D2 and D3 teams closing down for the whole season. How do you feel about those situations especially for schools that haven't announced that they're going to be shutting down early with the football season?
I think that every team should do what they think is best for the students. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're players or if they're not. They're all young people. They're all students. They all need to be everybody needs to calm down a little bit, to be honest with you. I mean, I honestly, this is my opinion. They should have kept everything closed until the 4th of July weekend. And probably we wouldn't be going through this second outbreak right now.
I agree.
Everybody was so starved to get out there and do this and do that. I mean, I understand too, man. I don't like being cooped up in the house. But I mean, if they had waited another month, right now, it would have been hotter, would have been harder to contract the virus, and it probably would have been harder to spread it. But because everybody had to jump the gun and get out there, and I think that's why you have it going crazy again, to be honest with you. I think that's a big part of it.
So. Yeah, man. So hopefully we get this going, and football comes on time. We already missing preseason for the NFL. I don't think anybody's really sad about that, but we are definitely doing that. So guys, we are an interactive podcast. So if you're on our live and you're seeing us, make sure you comment on our video. Any questions, anything you want to talk about, put it in the chat room. I see a couple of guys in here already, so thank you guys for being in the chat room. Excuse me. But we're going to continue our segment from the last couple of weeks. We've been talking about ranking each player in NCAA, the top 5 of each position. We also talking about each conference and breaking down each conference, which teams are going to be great and which the best players in those conferences. So we're going to continue with that today, and we're going to first talk about the edge rushers. So we're starting off defense. Is our first week starting on a defense. We're going to talk edge rushers. So we're going to get right into it. Ray's going to give us his top 5 edge rushers in the NCAA. Ray, you're on the clock.
Okay, well, Gregory Rizzo from Miami is number 1. Excuse me, I had to get a little bit of drink of water here.
It's okay. It's hot.
54 tackles last year, 15 and a half sacks. The kid is a 6'6" and a half, 6'7" almost, 250-pound athletic specimen who has not even scratched the surface yet. He's going to be a special football player at the next level. Yeah. So he's number one. My next guy is a guy you're going to like. It's Twitty Payne. From Michigan. I'm not exactly sold about him being an excellent NFL player, but he's had a really, really good year at Michigan. He's one of the guys that stood out last year at Michigan. 12 and a half sacks, had a really good player, had a really good season, and he's a good run defender, and he's a good football player. He'll be drafted fairly high. He's not going to be drafted. I don't think he's a first-round talent, but if he builds on last year, I mean, maybe. We'll see, but a good football player nonetheless. So, Number 3 is Carlos Basham from Wake Forest, another 6'5", 270-pound guy, double-digit sacks, he had 11, 3 forced fumbles. He's just kind of around one of them guys who's around the ball a lot. Good football player. And, again, another guy who can play some strong side defensive end, good run defender, gets to the quarterback, and you could probably move him inside on third downs to get some inside rush from him. So a pretty good football player. Number 4 guy is Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. Another, long 6'5"-ish, 245, 250-pound athlete who it's not a great year for the edge guys, but there's enough quality there where you're going to see a lot of these guys go, if not first day, probably second day. All right, second, third round pick. So, good football players. My number 5 guy, I'm going to go back to Thibodeau. He had 9 sacks. So, again, he's a guy who once he fills out can probably play some strong side, move around, play either end spot, and maybe move him inside again and get some pass rush from an interior defensive line spot.
Nice.
What's that?
Oh, I say nice.
Okay.
It's nice.
Number 5 guy is Joe Tryon from Washington, another 6'5", 260, 265 kid. Another kid who you could probably play him on either side, and he'll do enough as a run defender and as a pass rusher. And a guy a year or two when he's closer to 270, 280, which he'll probably be when he fills out, again, you can probably move him inside and maybe get some inside pass rush from him. So.
All right. Well, yeah, I agree. Ray, you got a Michigan guy way higher than the guy that claims himself as a Michigan fan. Not talk about myself. We had.
God. Well, I mean, again, we're talking about college players, and if you look at Pay's play last year, I mean, 50 tackles, 12 and a half sacks. And for a defense that was looking for guys that made plays, he was one of the guys that did. So,
Definitely. We'll definitely see how he does this year, especially without having Uche on the opposite side. But I think he's still going to be good. I really do think he's going to be really good.
Again, though, you're talking about a 270, 280-pound guy who's a pretty good long athlete. As a college player, he's definitely he's really good. And at the next level, I'm not going to say where I think he'll be at least a second-day pick. I do.
No, I agree. So we got Tom's list. I'm going to read it off to you real quick. So obviously, number 1, he got Greg Rizzo. From Miami. So I do agree with that one, number 1. Number 2, he actually has George Karliftis from Purdue. Number 3, he got Keon Vabino. Number 4, he has Carlos Basham Jr. from Wake Forest. And number 5, he got Kwity Payne from Michigan. And then he also put a little note say Homer pick, but definitely close to top 5. So
I like Pay. I think he's a better player than that, to be honest with you. Yeah. And I love Karaftis from Purdue. I had him as one of my sleeper guys.
Yeah.
Only because he had a great year last year. He's going to be a good player, but he's done it for 1 year so far. I can't rate them as college players until I get at least more than 1 year from them. Even though I do love the kid and he's going to be He's going to be a beast because to play as well as he did last year as a freshman, he was a real standout. But again, he had 7.5 sacks compared to Pay's 12.5. I mean, numbers do mean something, right?
Yeah. I mean, they do.
I mean, the tackle total was the same. One guy had 54, one guy had 50.
Yeah.
One guy has 7.5 sacks. Again, I love Caracas. He's very good, but it was a little better, I think.
Yeah. One stat that I think is underrated that a lot of people don't think about when talking about edge rushers is quarterback hurries as well.
Yes.
Quarterback hurries is very important because maybe that person might not get the sack, but he contributes to his teammate getting the sack, or
Correct.
An interception or incompletion, like things like that. Like pass rushers that get in the backfield. I mean, yeah, it's great that you get home and you take the player down and you create that sack and you make it harder for the offense. But also with the pressure, it creates panic in the quarterback. Creates turnovers, creates incompletion, especially on like third and fourth downs. That's very important. So getting in the backfield in general, even if it's a run play and you're already in the backfield, those kind of things that don't pop up on the stat sheet are very important for pass rushers. I really do think that. So, all right, cool. So let's get into our conferences. So this week we'll be talking about the Mid-American Conference. So Ray, you're gonna give us your top three three teams in the east of the Mid-American Conference. Go ahead, Ray.
Well, my first team is Buffalo. Buffalo is my number one team, and that's out of the east part of the conference. Again, we talked about it. Jared Patterson, the running back, is a stud. I mean, I think this is a little bit of projection. I think some people have them maybe finishing behind Ohio, but I have them I think they're going to be a little better. I think their defense is going to improve. I like their defensive ends, Kuntz and Riggins. I think they're good players. They're both guys that could add to the quarterback that are really good run players also. So I like Buffalo as my number one team. Ohio, I have as my second team in this in the eastern part of the conference.
Miami, Ohio.
Yeah, Nathan Rourke, their quarterback, is a nice dual threat kid.
He's a
nice player, and I like some kind of a weather alert. Sorry about that, man.
They good.
I like O'Shawn Allison, their running back. I think he's a good player. He had a nice year, like as a nice 1-2 combination. I think we get a little bit more carries this year because I forget the kid's name who actually graduated. Linebacker Connor is a good player. Dorsa, two good, really good linebackers. Really are probably the best players on their defenses. But I have Ohio 2, and I have Miami of Ohio 3.
Okay.
Coach Chuck Martin. I mean, I like Miami of Ohio. I think they're a good team in this conference. I think that the one thing they have a young quarterback who's starting for his first year. So we'll see.
Definitely. All right. Well, I'm gonna get into Tom's list. So he had the same three teams, obviously. He got Buffalo number 1. Number 2, he actually has Miami of Ohio, and then he got Ohio at 3.
Yeah.
I do agree with Buffalo being the best in the East. I think they probably be the best in the entire close. It's close. I think it's close. But Buffalo got some Bulldogs, like you said, Jared Patterson. Running back from Buffalo. We actually got a chance to interview him. So if you didn't see that or listen to it, check it out on InsideTheHashes.com. Really nice guy. I think he's going to be a beast. He's one of those guys that keeps going, and he don't just fall. He'll bounce off somebody also. He's a little smaller back, but I think that he's going to be high in the draft.
He runs physical for a guy who's not as big as you think.
Yeah.
He runs bigger than he is.
Correct.
I mean, if you look at his production, man, almost like over 1,700 yards last year. I mean, kid's a stud. So
yeah. And Riggins, we also interviewed Riggins, the defensive end from Buffalo, also, and another good piece to that defense that I think is going to be great.
I mean, Kuntz is actually the guy who gets a little bit more pub than Riggins, but I like Riggins a little more physical. So
Correct.
I like him a little better. So
I agree. I think he's very physical. He gets to the quarterback. I think that Buffalo team has some dogs on it. Like a lot of people don't know about Buffalo, but they got some players on that team. Got some players on the team. Yeah. All right, Ray. Go ahead.
I don't disagree with Tom as far as I think Miami of Ohio overall talent is right there with Ohio. It may be a tad better, but I just like Ohio because they have a veteran quarterback, and Miami, Ohio has Brett Gabbert as their starting quarterback. He's never started a game yet, so we'll see.
He's young. He's a young guy, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's talk about the West now, Ray. Who you got on that one?
Well, in that one, I have Western Michigan first. Usually, they're one of the better teams in this conference. And I'll take them. Kim Lester, coach, does a really nice job with their defense. He's a smart, heady coach. Quilly Ellerby is the quarterback. He is a good football player, like a nice passer, good solid quarterback. Tyshawn Hayward's our linebacker, maybe the best linebacker in his conference. Mm-hmm. So I like them to finish number one in the West. Central Michigan, I have second. Coach Jim McEwen is again a good defensive-minded coach who does a nice job with his team. George Pearson is actually another young quarterback starting. I think his first year as a full-time starter. He is a sophomore, but I think he played a little bit last year, but he didn't start the whole year. Caleb Pimpleton, their wide receiver, is their best player on offense, and I like him. Well, when we get to the top players in the conference, I have him in my top 10 as players in this conference. So that's my number 2 team. My number 3 team, I have Ball State. Again, Mike New, their coach. Again, good, smart coach. Drew Plitt, their quarterback, is a nice, heady quarterback. They have the best cornerback in the conference, probably, in Tone Phillips. Nice, rangy kid. Again, when we get into my top players, you'll probably hear his name in there somewhere. Good football player. Safety tandem of Brett Anderson and Bryce Cosby are both good football players. Their secondary is definitely their strength or their defense. That's why they're only third. But I like Ball State first. I mean third. I honestly think Western Michigan probably will be the favorite team in this conference, but I like Buffalo to win the conference.
Okay. Wow, Ray. You're gonna be upset with Tom's list then. Okay. All right. So in the West, Tom has number 1, he has Central Michigan.
Okay.
Number 2, he has Toledo. And then
Toledo won 1 game last year, man. Okay.
Not my list. And then number 3, he has Ball State like you do. So he don't even have Western Michigan in his top 3 in the conference. Well, in the western part of the conference. What do you think about that, Ray?
I disagree.
Yeah. That's all. Toledo got one win last year.
I mean, if you look
I think they're gonna be better though.
I kind of we'll say. I kind of I sometimes will throw out the records and I'll see and I do the same thing in the NFL. I look at point differential, how many points they scored, how many points they gave up. Buffalo was number 1. Western Michigan was number 2. So I go with them 2 teams.
Okay. A little insight of how Ray comes up with his list. Okay, I like it.
I mean, well, how else would you judge a team by how many points they score as opposed to they give up, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. It also depends on, coaching changes, players that came.
You're right about that. That again was why I went with Miami number 3 in the Western Conference. I mean, in the East, because I thought, their talent's similar, but they have a young quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that also makes a difference too. Who's playing on a team now. Who's coming off an injury. Who's this, who's that.
These are tougher. Believe it or not, these are tougher conferences to pick. to research because you don't see these teams play as much.
You don't watch those teams that much.
Right, you don't unless they play on a Thursday night game or real late on a Saturday night when there's nothing else on, and you're like, oh, cool, there's football still on. Let's watch this. You know what I mean? But unless it's one of them, because of course you're going to watch the Big East teams,
Correct.
You're going to watch the
SEC
teams, and then the ACC teams, and then you trickle down to the other conferences.
Correct. Correct. I agree. Yeah, I think it's not the sexier conferences and stuff like that, but I think they should start, publicly showing these schools more. Man, I think that it will be you get a broader audience and people will start, respecting these teams more. Like when you talk about these conferences that are not the Power Five, then it's like,
Well, I think what I just said is is a good idea for these teams. When you had the Thursday night games, have these teams.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because there's nothing else on except for the NFL, which people are going to watch the NFL anyway.
Yeah.
But they're going to watch college football also.
That's true.
So put these kind of teams on Thursday because there's no SEC teams on because you can control who plays them days. You know what I mean? So
and then some of those Thursday night games do be hit and miss. I mean, unless you were talking about fantasy and somebody want to watch it for fantasy purposes.
Well, no, if you talk about Thursday night games, as far as the NFL goes, they're the most boring game of the week, without a doubt.
Oh yeah,
and it's almost always the home team that wins because there's no time to prepare really.
Correct. Yeah.
You're literally going from a game, you have a day's rest, and then you're going back to the next season, the next game. I mean, that's difficult, man. That really is. I mean, honestly, Jerome, I think I told you this before. When the Eagles were good, like when they won the Super Bowl in 2017. It was the Thursday night game when they went down to Carolina and pretty much beat up on them in the third and fourth quarter. I was like, that Eagles team is really good. Because then teams don't lose those games. Carolina was still a good team.
Yeah.
It was before Newton was getting hurt. They were still a good team. And the Eagles went down there and whooped them on a Thursday night, and that doesn't usually happen to the home team. Yeah. So that was the game where I was like, man, the Eagles are really good this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were. They had played good up until then. But a Thursday night game against a good team, you're going there, you're probably going to lose. And you didn't. I'm like, wow, that's a good win.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Those Thursday night games are definitely tough. And like I said, they're hit and miss. Some they be boring sometimes. So like, hey, why not flip over to some college football, get to see who's going to come in the next year's draft and, do a little scouting. I mean, that's what we love to do. Like we love college football. So yeah, definitely. Yep. All right, awesome. All right, let's talk about the players now. Let's get into the player list. I know we kind of spoiled some of the players already in our talks already, but let's get 1 through 5, Ray. Who you got?
Well, of course, I have number 1, Jared Patterson from Buffalo. The stats speak for themselves. I think he'll probably be the first player drafted from this conference. There's nothing to stop somebody from taking this kid in the second or third round. He seems like he's got it. I mean, but he is a running back. And it is a somewhat, not a deep running back draft, but you have like 3 or 4 or 5 guys that probably will be ranked a little bit ahead of him. I would not be surprised if he's better than half of them guys, though, to be honest with you. But he's number 1. My number 2 guy is Antonio Phillips, cornerback from Ball State. Probably the best corner, well, easily the best corner in this conference. So, and again, a long 6', 190 athletic kid. Nice football player. Third guy is Khalid Huntley, running back from Ball State. You're going to hear again. If Ball State had a more veteran type quarterback, I probably would pick them to win that half of the conference. But I'm a little leery because of the young quarterback. But Ball State has some talent on them. Like I think all of these teams have talent on them. I do. So
And that's the problem. I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's the problem. Like these teams got talent. It's just that nobody gets to watch them. So it's just like,
you got to remember, like, again, like, say you get certain guys that'll go to like Western Michigan or Central Michigan. Well, they probably would rather go to Michigan, but that's easier said than done, man.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's not everybody. You could be a really, really good football player and not quite measure up to the SEC or Big Ten teams.
Yeah.
It just happens.
And it's nothing. Honestly, it's nothing wrong with going to the schools. Honestly, it really isn't.
It's like Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz goes to where he went because he's from that area and he knows the program good. Right. And if I can go to this program and not have to leave home, why not?
Yeah.
I don't have to go anywhere and prove anything. I was top drafted in the top 10. I'm good to go.
Yep.
And you got to stay home. What's wrong with that? You know what I mean? So he had the best of both worlds. He got to play close to home, and he got to play on a team that didn't lose. Good for him.
So if any of you kids out there listening, it doesn't matter what school you go to. It matters what you do on the field, man.
Right.
It really does.
It's like when people talk to me, oh, you can get a good education at that school. If you're smart and you want to learn, you can get a good education at any school. Okay, that is up to you. All right, so I don't want to hear,
and everybody learns differently too.
Yeah, absolutely, and everybody learns at a different pace. Obviously, but if you want to get a good education, you can get a good education any school you go to. Just look and read, man. Go do it. That's all. So
life lessons on RPO Podcast.
My number 4 guy is Sterling Weatherford, safety from Miami of Ohio. Again, this kid is a specimen. He's 6'4", 220, can do a lot of things, can cover, can tackle. You could probably bring him down in the box. You could probably play him as like an outside linebacker on certain downs. Hey, this kid's a really good football player. I think that he's going to be probably drafted like pretty fairly high when everything's said and done. So, excuse me, I keep having gas for some reason. But anyway, that's number 4. Trying to keep it to myself. But anyway, number 5 guy is Tommy Doyle, offensive tackle from Miami of Ohio. Again, I'm not going to lie. I tell people this. If I see guys with similar talent, I think, well, this guy is, this guy's either these 3 guys are like 3, 4, or 5. I'm not sure. I'll go with the guy I think he may be drafted a little bit earlier. Doyle is a 6'8", 330-pound, fairly decent athlete with good length. He'll be drafted fairly early, I believe, at least second day. So that's my number 5 guy.
All right, awesome. All right, let's get to Tom's list. So he has not Jared Patterson at number 1.
Let me guess
what position. Guess what position he has at number 1.
Quarterback.
You got it.
There's not a quarterback in this conference on this team in this conference worth a top 10 player in this conference, dude.
Wow.
There's not.
He got number 1 Dustin Crum from Kent State.
Okay.
Better than Jared Patterson. I don't agree with that.
He won't get drafted anywhere near as soon as Patterson does, and he's a quarterback. What does that tell you?
No, I agree. Well, he got Jared Patterson at number 2, so at least you don't have him too far down. Still kind of disrespectful not having him number 1, but
I think honestly the best quarterback in this conference is Nathan Rourke, and he's a third-day pick.
Nathan Rourke, player that we actually interviewed. So Nathan Rourke.
He's the best quarterback in this conference, and I thought about putting him in the top 10 because he plays quarterback. But then I was like, I'm not going to do it just because he's a quarterback. So I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, I like that logic, though. Not doing it just because he's a quarterback, but actually ranking like where you really think he ranks on the list. So,
with Jerome, because like quarterbacks will get drafted before every other position if they measure up. But these guys that I've taken that I have in my top 10, I think are all second, early, third-day picks. There's no quarterback in this conference that we've taken before the 5th round. None.
All right. Well, number 3, he got Troy Brown, linebacker from Central Michigan. Number 4, he has Quentin Williams, wide receiver from Eastern Michigan, a player that we interviewed, and he had the put in parentheses, I interviewed him. So shout out to Tom for giving us that little disclaimer there. And number 5, he got Sterling Weatherford from the safety from Miami, Ohio. The safety that you like a lot, Ray. So what do you think about that top 5?
I only like the one guy, actually. I'm not saying that all the other guys aren't good players, but I only like Weatherford as my top 5 guys.
Yeah. And Jared.
Oh yeah, I forgot he had him number 2. Yeah, of course. So, I think Patterson is easily the best player in this conference.
Oh yeah,
so.
I totally agree. I 100% agree. All right, Ray, let's get to your last five. Who you got?
Okay, my number 6 guy is Malcolm Kuntz, defensive end, edge rusher from Buffalo. Again, I actually like Riggins a little better because he's a little more physical, but I think Kuntz gives you a little bit more as a pass rusher. Maybe we'll get taken a little bit earlier than him, so that's where I differentiate the two. So I mean, I like both of them. I like Riggins better, but I think Kuntz will probably get taken a little bit earlier than him. So I have him at number 6. My number seven guy is a wide receiver from Central Michigan, Caleb Pimpleton, an athletic kid, not big but fast and a good route runner and just a good football player. And again, the best receiver in this conference, I believe. So he'll be taken. If I look at it, he's a second day pick, maybe only third round. If not, he's a early fourth round because he does some stuff with the return game. He's just a good, solid football game player with a lot of upside, to be honest with you. Number 8 guy is Taylor Riggins, edge rusher, defensive end from Buffalo. I love this kid. I love his effort.
Nice guy too. He's a nice guy.
He's a good kid, man. And again, like I do some soul searching with these because sometimes, Jerome, if I'm not sure, I'll go back and try to listen to interviews that these guys have. Because I want to hear, because that's why I like about certain coaches. Certain coaches, they talk and they exude confidence for one, and the love for football, and that matters to me as much as their ability sometimes.
Exactly.
To be honest with you, because to me, they all have similar ability. The guys that really love what they're doing are the guys that are going to excel. You know what I mean? So that's how I look. So number 9 guy again is Keyshawn Hayward, linebacker from Western Michigan. If anybody who doesn't know this kid, you should check him out, man. He's athletic. He's a 6'1", 225-pound guy who moves like a safety. Okay, and 140 tackles last year.
Oh, wait, 100 and what?
140 tackles last year. Wow. 4.5 sacks. 11 TFLs. I mean, the kid is a stud, man.
Oh, yeah.
So he's my number 9 guy. My number 10 guy is Emmanuel Rugamba. I don't like saying this again. Rugamba. He's a cornerback from Miami of Ohio. A nice athletic, 5'11", 190. And he didn't even start every game. So this kid's going to get better and better and better. And I really like him. So.
Wow, Ray. There's one person that you're missing on your list, sir.
Who was that?
All right, I gotta go through his list real quick, and then I'll tell you who it is. Okay. Number 6, he has the same edge rushing order as you. So he got number 6, Malcolm Kuntz. Yeah, from Buffalo. So on the opposite side of Reagor. Number 7, and this is a guy that I thought you should have had on your list. Sky Moore. I don't know if you didn't have him in top 5, right?
I didn't have him on my list.
You did?
I don't.
Why?
Because I don't have him on my list.
You don't like Sky Moore? You don't think he's
good? He's good. I mean, every player, there's guys that I left off my list that were good too, but
okay. I
mean, my top 10.
I think Sky Moore is a really good wide receiver, and he's gonna do really well. I think he can get drafted as well. So he does have them at number 7. Number 8, he has Taylor Reagor, edge rusher from Buffalo. We talked about him. Number 9, he has Antonio Nunn, wide receiver from Buffalo. He got a lot of Buffalo guys on here. And then number 10, he has Ali Freyai, edge rusher from Western Michigan. What do you think about that one, Ray? I think that's a lot, very different from yours.
I don't have a problem with his list again, man. It's just, it's how he rates guys a little differently than I do. That's all. I'm surprised he has Buffalo so many players on that list, and he doesn't really have them think that they're that good. So,
No, he has him number 1. He has Buffalo number 1. He got 1, 2, 3, 4 Buffalo players on the top 10, and he has Buffalo at number 10 in the conference. So it's not like last week where he had like 6 players in the top 10 on one conference, and then didn't have that team in the top 10 at all.
Okay.
So, all right, Ray, give us a sleeper, man.
From this conference or just in general?
This conference, man. This conference.
I have two of them, man. I have Bryce Harris from Toledo, an offensive lineman, a center, athletic guy, little Jason Kelsey to him, a little athletic and get out and move his feet. Nice player. And I have Tyrone Hill, a safety from Buffalo, another defense. I give you one from each side of the ball. A guy who had a really nice year last year, had 70 tackles as a safety. A good tackler. He has good length. He's probably an in the box safety though, because that's what he looks like to me. So.
Yeah, definitely. I'm telling you, that Buffalo team got some players, man. They're gonna be.
I think they're the best team in this conference. I think they'll win the conference. I do.
I agree. Well, that's gonna do it for us today. Ray, thank you so much for being here, man. We love having you on, and we love having everybody in the chat room. Even though you guys don't want to talk to us today, but it's okay. But we do enjoy every one of y'all. I see everybody that's popping in. I do appreciate each person coming in. Make sure you check us out on InsideTheHashes.com, where you find all our content. We got gaming, fantasy football, which is coming up really soon. We got all our podcasts, which we got a new podcast coming up. A little announcement. So I'm going to drop this little nugget now. We're having a new fantasy football podcast coming up in the next couple of weeks. Make sure you check out that announcement. But for all you guys that aren't here now, you get a sneak preview of what's coming next. A new fantasy football podcast. So get your drafts ready. Get your list ready. We're going to have some guys with good knowledge that's going to help you guys out with your fantasy football skills and stuff like that. So
for pro football or college?
Pro football.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So pro football, fantasy. I forgot there's college as well. I never did a college fantasy football draft. I'm probably going to do that this year.
You know what, Jerome? I was actually in one last year, and believe it or not, I forgot about the team like every week, just about. I did. I forgot about it.
There's so many teams. That's the only thing.
I just forgot about it like every week, man. I never set my lineup. I forgot. I would get alerts about I lost or I won, and I'd be like, I forgot all about it. You know what I mean? So it's just weird, you know. So
yeah, it's too many teams. I want to try it. I do want to try it for at least 1 year.
And they play so like games all different days of the week now. It's just weird now.
Yeah, true.
It's strange, man. Like I don't know. It was hard for me to keep on track with it, to be honest.
I hear you. Well, definitely check out our fantasy podcast, Pro Football Fantasy Podcast. So make sure you check that out, InsideTheHashes.com, and we'll be live on Facebook, Instagram. I'm sorry, not Instagram. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, as we are on here right now. Also, make sure you check us out on all our social media. We got a good social media team that's doing some great work on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. At Inside the Hashes, at Inside Hashes for Twitter. Also, make sure you listen to our player interviews on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Find all the players, a lot of players that we talked about today, we interviewed, and we're going to interview a lot more coming in the future. So make sure you check that out. Search Inside the Hashes with your favorite podcast, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Like I said, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Please make sure you check that out. And just go in and listen, because it helps us. It supports us. All you have to do is listen. You don't have to subscribe to nothing. You don't have to pay for nothing. All you have to do is literally just listen to a lot of these interviews. These guys got great stories. We want to make sure we get their names out there and get their stories out there and just listen to what they got to say as people. We always want to worry about them being just, football players. It's great to listen to them as human beings as well. So make sure you check that out. Inside the Hashes, search it in our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. So I'm your humble host, Jerome Jones. We got Ray Roberts in the building. Guys, we thank you so much. And if any of you want to join us next week, you could just come in and join us and, chat some college football. Make sure you email us. And I put my email in last time, and I'll do it again now. But it's Jones at InsideTheHashes.com. So you definitely check us out on there. I actually put it in the wrong spot, but I put it in the chat room for you guys to see as well. So if anybody want to jump in, just email me. Let me know. We can set you up, get you on here, talk some college football, man, talk some of these teams and everything like that. So thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys stay safe out there. We want football to come back. So please do what you got to do to stay safe. Act like it was the pandemic just started, man, and stay safe. Wash your hands. Keep a mask on. Please do that so we can get college football and pro football back. We don't want any delays. We don't want anybody, And then, if everything is shut down again, we're all just gonna be stuck in the house bored again. So we definitely don't want to do that. So make sure you do what you got to do.
Bro, if say we have any kind of delay in the 2 seasons. Now, I think that it would be really hard to have a college football season without boosters and alumni and everybody at the game because they pay a lot of the bills. We know that.
Correct.
But if you had to say if you're going to have – if the NFL doesn't play at least 9 or 10 games, there's no sense in having a season.
Sure.
But college football can get by with 5 or 6 games. And then you can say, all right, well, whoever wins out of the top 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really matter if you play 5, 6, 7 games or 11. But if you don't play, if your 16 games turns into 7 or 5 or 6 or 7, then you're like, that's barely a third of the season. There's no reason to even do that.
Correct. Exactly.
But I don't. I want both seasons to be played because I enjoy both. I enjoy both seasons. I enjoy college probably a little more, but because of the Notre Dame thing and the fact that college football is just, to me, it's more about wanting, like, the kids want to play, and the NFL is more of a business.
Definitely.
So that's probably why I like college a little bit better. But I could see where if college football only plays half the season, they'll be okay. But the NFL can't do that. If they play half the season and they lose a player, that's millions of dollars you lost for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's really scary right now.
Definitely. So make sure y'all stay safe, man, and don't spread this stuff. Please don't spread this stuff.
I understand, again, that people are getting a little bit like, cabin fever and everything. But when people just started thinking, oh, we're okay now, we're fine, Memorial Day's here, yay! And then everybody started not remembering social distancing again, not wearing masks, thinking, oh, we'll be okay. It's not over till no one's getting sick anymore, okay, people? Exactly. Nobody.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, guys, please make sure to stay safe. I'm your humble host, Jerome Jones. This is Ray Roberts. We are definitely happy you guys checked us out. Make sure you check us out again. We do this every Wednesday at 7:00. So make sure you check us out live on Facebook. I keep trying to say Instagram. Instagram won't let us. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So thank you guys so much. And y'all have a great night and stay safe. Peace.